Yo, what's good, y'all? In today's video, I got the how to make a permanent death event system. Um, so pretty much you guys know in how in lore RP games on Roblox and stuff, where you'll see permanent death event at the top. If a player dies, they'll lose everything, like maybe progress made on lore, abilities or items they obtained, and you have to start over, like start a new lore character, stuff like that. So yeah. Here's how to make a basic permanent death event system. I'm gonna treat this sort of like the admin panel system, where like if you guys mess with it, then I will make a part two with updated stuff, like things like making it like adding things like checking who's able to access it, who's able to access it, organizing it better, like we can organize it by teams, whatever teams people are on, and any other information or other things you guys want to add it on to it and stuff like that. So if the video gets enough love, I for sure got y'all with a part two. But anyway, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Okay, so first things first, let's go ahead and not cut the sound. So you guys know when a PD starts, there's obviously some type of sound effect. You don't necessarily need one for when the PD ends, but you definitely need one for when it starts. Because like, think about it. If somebody's like AFK, like maybe they're tabbed out and they're doing something else on their computer, and then the PD starts, they don't even know it started. Right? So it definitely is nice to have a sound. So here's my sound. I think it's like a missile or some type of explosion or whatnot. Literally just go to the toolbox, go to audio, just find whatever you want, honestly. Like I'd recommend something ominous, like a quick little 2-3 second ominous sound, just so that it's something people would definitely hear, so that they know a PD is starting, right? Then you can just name that PD sound, leave that inside the sound service, right? Then we're gonna head on over to, let's create our remote event. So inside of replicated storage, let's insert a remote event. We're gonna call this PD event. So PD event. Then we're gonna need our GUI, PD GUI. This is so that the staff members can access the dev list, and as well as just generally the controls for the PD, so that they can enable, disable it. So we want to simply insert a screen GUI, name that screen GUI PD GUI. Some settings or properties, I guess you could say, we have to enable and disable. So first, I want you to uncheck reset on spawn. Make sure this does not have a check, because if this is checked, then that means that if a staff member were to die, then the list would just be deleted on their UI and stuff like that. Because I'm going to handle like the UI, like when the UI needs to be reset, I'm going to handle all that via the script. So there's no need to have the setting enabled for property, right? And then of course by default, you want the UI to be enabled, and then you also want to ignore GUI nil set or ignore GUI inset. Oh my god, I can't believe I'm calling it nil set the entire time. Ignore GUI inset, right? So that the PD bar can be at the top of the screen. The PD bar, when I say PD bar, I'm referring to the thing, at the top that says permanent death event, that text label. So inside of this, you want to simply have 2 frames and a text label. You can do the text label first. This is a simple text label. You want to go ahead and name it PD header text label, right? This is what's going to appear at the top of the screen and stuff. So here are the properties, just in case you guys were interested in seeing how I made mine, the position, the sizing, the colors and everything, right? And then you guys see the text is permanent death event, but you guys can pretty much customize it whatever way you want. So the way this is going to work is everything should be visible. Everything should, like the property, everything should be set to visible. All of this stuff should be visible. All we're doing is setting the text stroke transparency, right? The text stroke transparency, we want that equal to 1. We want the text transparency equal to 1. And we want the background transparency equal to 1. That's how things are going to work. Okay, that's simple. We're going to set that, we're going to tween that, so we're going to set it equal to 0 when the PD actually starts. So once you've created your text label, then you want to insert a frame. This is a regular frame, so just insert a frame. Name this frame staff frame. Here are the properties in case you guys were interested to see. Now for this, I think. Oh, okay. Sorry. I actually messed up. Okay, so for the frames, make them not visible, right? But like for the text label and the PD button, right? Or not? Sorry, the PD. Wait, confused. Okay. Just ignore what I said. Ignore what I said the first time. Okay, so make sure that these two are set to not visible, right? We're gonna set that equal to, because there's no point to really tween it, because it's just a staff member enabling it rather than like something a grand, like the event is starting type of thing where you'd want it to look nice. So yeah, here are the properties for the staff frame. Remember, this is a regular frame. Inside of the staff frame, you want to have the PD button. This is the button that you're going to click to be able to enable and disable the PD. So the properties, of course, by default, we want the background color to be green and stuff. And by default, the text is going to say start PD or enable PD. And then we're going to switch it to disable PD when the PD is actually enabled, right? And then name this PD button, leave that inside the staff frame. Then you're also going to want to insert a UI grid layout so that we can organize everything. I mean, it's not that important for the staff frame. It's essential for the death list frame, but yeah, it's not necessarily required. But yeah, and here are the properties. Then for the death list frame, the difference is this isn't a regular frame. This is what we call a scrolling frame, right? A scrolling frame, so you can scroll down, because the whole point is it's supposed to be made for a list. So you want to go ahead and insert a scrolling frame. You want to go ahead and name this death list frame. Here are the properties. Make sure it is not visible. Here are the properties, you guys, right? And then inside of that frame, you want to insert a UI grid layout. Now this one, it's essential. Then here are the properties I went with. Cell padding 0505 and cell size 150 and 035, right? So yeah. And then you want to make sure that's inside the def list frame. And then we're going to have all the players' names that have died inside of this scrolling frame. And yeah, just like that, we are done setting up the UI. Let's go ahead and get into the actual scripting. Okay, so let's open starter player. Let's open starter player and insert a local script into starter player scripts. We can go ahead and name the script PD script, in parentheses put local. Then we're going to delete print hello world. And then we can go ahead and create our variables. First thing first, we're going to get the user input service. So local UIS is equal to game get service user input service. Then I'm going to get the tween service. Local TS is equal to game get service tween service. Then I'm going to get the PD event. PD event is equal to game that replicated storage await for child PD event. Then I'm going to get the local player. This is our last variable. So game.players.local player. Then I'm just going to have a wait for child. So player.player GUI wait for child PD GUI, right? Then I'm going to set up the user input service function. So UIS.input began. This is so that we can enable the UI. Connect function, in parentheses put input comma processed. Enter if input.userinput type is equal to enum.userinput type.keyboard, or however you guys want the UI to be enabled, and processed is equal to false to make sure that the player isn't typing in chat. Enter, we're then going to say if input.keycode is equal to enum.keycode.e, up to you guys for whatever keybind you want. Then enter. Then what we're going to do is we're going to say player.playerGUI dot defless frame dot visible is equal to not. Then we're going to say results from time and copy and paste this. So selected, Control C, Control V. And pretty much by doing not, it's going to do the opposite of what it currently is. So we save time. Instead of having to have an if statement that checks if it's visible, then set it to not visible and vice versa, we just do not. Then you guys can just copy and paste this, Control C, Control V, and then we're just going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to do it for the staff frame. So staff frame and staff frame. Just like that, we are done setting up the first function. Just have to check real quick. But anyway, we are done setting up the first function. We have 2 more to go, but they're honestly very short. There's not much scripting, not gonna lie to you. So then I'm gonna say PD event.onClient event, because we're gonna fire it from the server script back to the local script. So onClient event connect function, in parentheses, you're going to put event type. That's it, right? Then I'm gonna say if event type is equal to PD starts, that's gonna be the name of the event. Enter. Then I'm gonna say player.playerGUI.PDGUI.staff frame .pd button background color 3 is equal to color 3 new 1 0 0. This is that the button will go from enable to disable, to the staff member knows okay, the PD is enabled. Now if I want to disable it, I can just click it. Then I'm going to do player.playerGUI.staff frame .pd button .text, and of course we're going to set the text to disable PD. Change the color as well as the text. Then I'm going to set up the first tween. I'm going to say local tween. This is for the PD bar, by the way. Local tween is equal to ts create. Then I'm going to say player.playerGUI.pdGUI.pd header text label. And then I'm going to say comma tween info.new. As for the duration, we're going to go with 1 second. Comma enum.easingstyle.linear. Enum.easingstyle direction. Then I'm going to say let's go to out. then put a comma in between the parentheses, then special brackets is how we create a table, so we can create the property table. Then I'm going to modify the 3 properties I mentioned. First is going to be text transparency. Remember, we're setting all these properties equal to 0. So first is text transparency, then text stroke transparency, which is 0, and lastly background color. Not background color, background transparency is equal to 0, right? Then enter, and then we're going to say tween play. We're going to play set tween. Then we're going to use the for I loop. For iv in pairs player.playgy.pdgy.deathless get children do if v is a text button. Wait, sorry, not text button, text label, sorry. So if v is a text label, enter, v destroy. This is to make sure that every time we start a PD, the list will be cleared. So here's how we're going to handle all the clearing and stuff. So you don't have to worry about, oh, like what happens if I start another event, if I end an event, then just start another one and those names are still there. So pretty much the way the system works, you would want to make sure you know all the names down before starting another event. So yeah. Now moving on to the next for I loop, which is our last one. But yeah, we're going to do for I, comma v in pairs game.players get children. This is the main thing that'll be like, oh, like yeah, this is definitely a PD system. So I'm going to create a variable for other characters. Local other character is equal to v dot character, right? And then I'm going to set up a function. I'm going to say other character dot humanoid dot died connect function, right? Then close parentheses, enter. Then I'm going to say, I'm set up if statement. I'm going to say if not player.playerGUI.pdgy.deathless frame find first child other character dot name quotation marks, put a space, then name text label, like that would be the name for it, then enter. So if it does not find the player's name, that means that okay, the player just died, their name is not listed down, so we're gonna add their name and stuff. This is kind of just a double check measure just to ensure that there's like there won't be any issues with like, oh, duplicate names, like names being duplicated and stuff for whatever reason. This just pretty much ensures that that's not possible. Then I'm going to go ahead and clone over the text label. So I'm going to say local name text label is equal to instance.new text label. Then of course we're going to parent it to player.playergy.pdgy.deathless frame. A couple of properties. First things first, we're going to make sure text scaled is set to true. Then I'm going to also set the text. So dot text is equal to other character dot name. And lastly, I'm going to set the name of the text label so we know each which text label belongs to which player. So it's equal to other character dot name dot quotation mark space, and then it should be name. Boom. And then we're gonna put a space in between, and here is where we handle the kicking. So when a player dies, they're kicked from the server. If you don't care to, well, some people do it differently. Some people, instead of being kicked from it, they teleport them to a box, like a PD box stuff. So you could also just do like other character move to, and then just move them. Since this remote event is being fired to all clients, you could really do it like that, where it just moves them to another part. But I would recommend just kicking them from the game. It's probably the safest way to do it. But anyway, so we're gonna say game.players get player from character, throw in other character, and then we're going to say kick, right? And then the message we're gonna say you have died in a permanent death event. The message is completely optional. You guys can have whatever you want. That's up to you guys. That's just what I went. That's just what I went with. And then I'm going to do the second and last event. So go right there, press enter. We're going to say else if event type is of course equal to the vice versa. PD end, enter, right? Not as much stuff. We can really go up here and honestly, we can copy and paste the first couple lines. Just take these 4 lines, paste this here. We're just going to change things just a little bit. So one, I'm going to set the green. I believe it's this green. Yeah. We're setting it to this green. And then I'm going to change disable to enable. And then simply I'm going to go over here and then just do the opposite. So set this equal to 1, set all the zeros equal to 1, so that everything is back to being invisible. We're going to play that tween. And yeah, we have finished with that one. We have finished with this function altogether. And honestly, that was the longest function. We have one more function on the script, then onto the server script. And the server script is like, I think it's like 10 lines. So yeah, we're almost done. So I'm going to say player.pdgy.staff_frame.pd button.mouse button one click connect function, close parentheses, enter this so that the server script is going to handle all the checking if whether or not a PD is enabled, disabled, and stuff. I just want to have all that stuff managed on the server script. That's how enough of a PD is already enabled. All this simply does is like, okay, it's going to fire the remote events. We're going to say PD event fire server. And then I'm just going to put PD. The reason for this is because it wouldn't make sense to do PD start or PD end, because if a PD is already in progress, right? We wouldn't want to start another PD while a PD is already in progress. So that's why we're going to have a variable on the server side so that we can check, okay, PD is enabled, so then that means that the PD is supposed to be disabled now. So then let's go ahead and insert a server script into server script service. Let's go ahead and name this script PD script, in parentheses put server, right? We can delete print hello world. We're going to make 3 variables. First, we're going to get the sound service for our sound effect. So ss is equal to game get service sound service. Then I'm going to create a variable for the PD remote event. PD event is equal to game the replicated storage wait for child PD event. Then we'll create a variable for the PD enabled boolean and stuff, this so that we can check if whether or not a PD is enabled, right? And then the script will know how to go from there. So I'm going to say PD event on server event connect function in parentheses, and then in parentheses I'm going to say PLR register of the player, and of course event type enter. I'm going to say if event type is equal to PD, then we're going to check. We're going to say if PD, not PD event, sorry, if PD enabled is set to false, then we're going to enable the PD. So we're going to say PD enabled is equal to true, right? Then I'm going to fire the remote event back to the client. So make sure you do fire all client though. Keep doing the wrong one. So make sure you do fire all clients, not fire client. So fire all client, and then we're going to send over the event type PD start, right? And lastly, we're going to play the sound. So PD sound play, then we'll have it else if. So else if PD enabled is equal to true. This means the PD is ending, so PD enabled is equal to false. And then I'm going to fire the remote event back to all the clients. And this time it's going to be PD end, right? But no sound. Well, I mean, it's up to you guys if you want to have a sound, but yeah. Then now for the last function. This is the handle, so if any players try joining while a PD is in progress, they'll be kicked from the server. The game, players added, connect function in parentheses, put PLR register for the player, then enter. Then I'm going to say if PD enabled is set to true, which means that PD is currently in progress. I'm going to kick the player that just joined the game. I'm going to say a permanent death event is currently in progress. You may rejoin when it has concluded, right? That's simple, but the message, you guys don't have to have the message, and the text is up to you guys. I'm not going to test the whole system. Kind of feel like having to, do all that. I'm just going to show you guys just generally how it works. So we press E, boom, it pops up, enable PD. You guys see the sound, you guys see how it tweens. If you want it to last, if you want the thing to like appear slower, then you can play around with the tween info time. Then I can disable it, boom, right? So yeah, that's how you make a permanent death event system. As always, if you guys want access to any of my scripts or models, you guys can become either a channel member or a Discord subscriber. Links to both of those options can be found in the description. Thank you guys for watching, and yeah, if you enjoy, definitely leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.